Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Pavlich, along with Kevin Cork, Nicole Sapphire, and Tom Shalhoub. And welcome back to the Big Weekend Show. The big story tonight. President Trump is marking his 6th month in office with massive wins. And tonight, his administration is calling for former President Obama to be prosecuted following DNI Tulsi Gabbard's explosive report on the 2016 Russia hoax. We're expecting to get more information next week as whistleblowers come forward.
There's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency. And next week, we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. We have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time who were so disgusted by what happened.
DNI Tulsi Gabbard has already turned over hundreds of documents to DOJ for criminal referrals. The conspiracy stems from a December 2016 National Security Council meeting, which included John Brennan and James Comey's right-hand man at the FBI, Andrew McCabe. According to Gabbard's declassified report, Obama ordered a new assessment on Russia's election meddling after a presidential daily briefing concluded that Russia did not hack the election. Instead, the Obama-directed assessment was published in January 2017, claiming that Russia interfered in the election to help President Trump. As the report was being drafted, a DNI whistleblower was sidelined for questioning why the assessment was contradicting earlier intel and pressured to accept the Russia hoax. But the contradictions didn't concern the leaders of Obama's intel community, including James Comey.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts.
And Obama's report was found to have even more problems. Earlier this month, CIA Director John Ratcliffe said it was, quote, conducted through an atypical and corrupt process under the politically charged environments of Brennan and Comey. Ratcliffe found the FBI leadership demanded it be included the infamous Steele dossier, a fraudulent document funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign. And Brennan agreed, insisting that the dossier be included in the report, despite multiple senior CIA officials opposing its inclusion and one official warning Brennan that it risked, quote, the credibility of the entire paper. Brennan and Comey are already under criminal investigation, and as Gabbard prepares to release additional information, more officials could join them. Wow, Kevin, so lots of news today from Director Gabbard.
Yep.
Where do you think we go from here? And very interesting that additional whistleblowers may be bringing forth even more information that we haven't seen yet.
You know, there's a Latin saying, it's fiat judicia ruat caelum. Basically, let justice be done though the heavens fall. In other words, regardless of the consequences, we have to have justice if this was a criminal enterprise or conspiracy. Will that happen? I think Tom said it yesterday. It's highly doubtful, given that Washington doesn't like to police its own to the highest level. But I would also add this. Keep this in mind. If you look back at just the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, think about all the high-level people, beginning with President Trump, who ultimately were arrested. I just saw a graphic the other day. It's got all these former Trump officials and people in his orbit. They were arrested for what they believed were violations of the law. If that's the same case and circumstance here, then let others be arrested as well.
Well, it seems, Nicole, at a minimum, former FBI Director James Comey committed perjury, given what he said under oath and what we know now about the details of the meeting and the intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't even know what that means to actually say in that professional setting there's no fluff or whatever. Fuzz.
Fuzz.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means. But I find it very remarkable that the same media outlets that were saturating the airwaves about Russia collusion are absolutely silent on this bombshell report from Director Gabbard. The fact that maybe the big coup from the Democrats wasn't when they ousted President Biden and put in Kamala Harris, but it was actually when the former President Obama manufactured intelligence for political gain. One really interesting thing that came out of the interview this morning with Director Gabbard is she said after these documents were released, more whistleblowers are coming forward. One that makes me question, are they coming forward because they're worried that they could be held accountable once they start doing some digging?
Sure.
You know, who was in the room? The big question is the people who were in that meeting, that closed-door meeting with Obama that changed the narrative. I doubt any of those people are the whistleblowers, but they probably said something to someone, and they're going to come forward. Is it all just going to be conjecture, hearsay? Will we actually have something that's tangible for an indictment? I don't know, but I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
You know, Tom, one of the missions for Director Gabbard is to restore trust in the intelligence community and the process here. And as we get even more information, I find that Americans, think that there's even more distrust given what we're finding in addition to what we've known about what happened with the 2016 election. I mean, she has a tall order there to get past all of this.
Yeah, and it's in addition to what we've known, because we were talking about this yesterday. Devin Nunes, everything he talked about is now coming out, okay? And so we already knew this because he ran a great investigation. We also had some great journalists and substackers who were revealing this information, but the mainstream media was denying it the whole time. Are they going to be able to keep denying it? The thing that prevented them last time was that the intelligence community kept saying, no, we got the goods. It's all secret. We can't show it to you, but we have a lot of stuff here. And, Adam Schiff would say the same thing in his, in his hearings. Now we've got the director of national intelligence putting this all on the table. Is the media going to be able to ignore it? Maybe, because like I said to Harrison Fields yesterday, I asked him, what's going to happen to these guys? And he said, well, they all work in the media now. Guys like Brennan and McCabe, they're all hired by major media.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. They didn't cover the DNI report at all. And instead, they're obsessed with a number of other issues and this.
You even sent a letter to House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan asking him to hold a hearing on this and subpoena some of Trump's top officials if necessary. Have you gotten a response? Do you think the pressure is doing anything at this point?
Well, we've had no direct official response yet, but Chairman Jordan has said that Attorney General Bondi will be coming in.
The people that have been fomenting this are right-wing influencers, members of Congress.
They want to show that they are loyal to this, I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
They're hoping this will split up the GOP, but a new Quinnipiac poll says otherwise. Trump has a whopping 90% approval rating among Republicans. And the poll was conducted during the release of the Epstein memo. So, Kevin, they tried to use this as a political weapon for about a week because they're having a really hard time finding things to use against the president. And at least among Republicans, it's not working.
Spaghetti against the refrigerator, right? And to see what's going to stick, or against the wall. I think they're going to keep trying new tactics. And this is especially important for them right now because, as we'll talk about, the president has had this string of victories. So a string of victories which will likely continue because he has the House and the Senate to help back him up. He has executive actions. I think this is not the first nor the last example of what they will try to do to knock this administration off kilter between now and the midterms. It may not be effective, especially now because I think he's on a roll.
Yeah, Nicole, I find it so interesting the media is refusing to report on this because the stakes are so high. This, as the director has said, this is not just about Republicans and Democrats. I mean, the entire intelligence community was politicized, was weaponized. And in America, that's not supposed to happen. That happens in other countries that fail. And they were willing to take the risk to completely discredit our agencies. And now nobody believes anything they're doing.
Well, unfortunately, we saw this play out over and over again during President Trump's first term. And the critics are saying right now that anything that Director Gabbard puts forth that people are not going to accept because she is a Trump appointee. And unfortunately, that is why it is so crucial that they are transparent and they release these documents is exactly what they're doing. And the same goes through with the Epstein case. But the one thing with the Epstein files not being released that the left-leaning media keeps pushing for this, we have to be clear, this is not about justice. This is a distraction. To Kevin's point, they were distracting from the fact that the auto pen was abused, that Obama manufactured this intelligence that we're talking about. The border's secure, inflation's down, prices are down, energy expansion, banner year for air traffic controllers, thanks to Secretary Duffy, military recruitment. Trump is winning over and over again. And as you so perfectly pointed out yesterday, the release of the documents when it comes to Epstein, right now, Ghislaine Maxwell still has an ongoing appeal. I mean, this could really compromise due process. And on top of that, just releasing these files, anyone associated with Epstein, that does not make them a deviant. So to just release files without association, it's a little dangerous.
Yeah, there has to be especially legal context there with and crimes attached if they're going to use the Department of Justice to name people. But Tom, on the issue of the intelligence community and the media, I mean, they're refusing to talk about this despite months and years of screaming about protecting democracy. And yet here you have the DNI director accusing the former president of ordering the cooking of intelligence to delegitimize a duly elected president that then snowballed into so many other things like the special counsel, impeachment, et cetera. And yet they don't seem interested in protecting democracy when it comes to President Trump and President Obama undermining it.
As we go over these things one after another, I cannot believe that Donald Trump survived all of this stuff. You go down the list of things. Right? Forget about the bullet that whizzed by the side of his head. Yeah. I mean, they were trying to take him down over and over in so many different ways, the Russia investigation, the impeachment, and everything else. Yeah. But he kind of plowed through it all. And they think they're going to split the GOP now? Mm-hmm. This is what's the funniest thing. They already split the GOP. You had people like Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. Yeah. That's how they split them. And what happened? They both lost their reelection. Mm-hmm. So the split happened, and they are in the past. There's a new GOP, and they're more united than ever.
Yeah, well, to Cheney's credit, she actually ran again, but Adam Kinzinger dropped out before he lost.
Oh, so that's right. He didn't really lose.
He took the easy way out. But turning now to the deep state under Joe Biden, America First Legal has now released new documents showing how the former Attorney General Merrick Garland weaponized government against concerned parents, labeling them domestic terrorists. The documents show how Biden's DOJ leadership sought a, quote, federal hook, so they could go after parents. The Biden administration reportedly wanted to investigate and criminally charge parents protesting school policies related to COVID, transgenderism, critical race theory, and other issues. I mean, Kevin, when you look at the way that crime went up all over the country under Joe Biden's administration, the fact that the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland was focused on parents who had questions and wanted to be involved in their kids' education and not having these COVID mandates and making sure they're learning math and not about gender at age 2. I mean, it's astonishing.
It's infuriating when you really think about it, because your focus could have been in so many other areas. And for the record, there was an FBI, remember that FBI memo out of Richmond's office, and they were allegedly targeting Catholics? I mean, this is part and parcel to what the weaponization of government has been all about. And the problem is in D.C., a lot of people at the higher echelon of our government have long been thought to be untouchable, with the notable exception, of course, of the 45th and 47th president. They would not go after the top guys because it's Washington. But I think that may be about to change, because the evidence is overwhelming that some of them did some things that were not only unlawful, they were antithetical to this country's standing and our traditions and, frankly, the rule of law. So we'll find out soon.
And, Tom, I mean, Democrats gave up the issue of education as a result of this. Yeah. I mean, Glenn Youngkin, for example, in Virginia, ran as a Republican for governor and won based on upholding parental rights rather than attacking them. Kind of crazy that the Department of Justice wanted to put parents who seem pretty normal in prison.
Yeah, and it wasn't just theoretical. I mean, you talk about that memo that talked about conservative Catholics. It wasn't in theory. It was in practice. That's Mark Houck, Catholic, pro-life guy. Do you remember they raided him?
Yeah,
you can look at that on YouTube to this day.
That's right.
They barged in and they frog-marched him out there.
In front of his kids.
A guy who was demonstrating at an abortion clinic. Okay, so, yeah, it's ridiculous, and they keep losing, but they don't learn the lessons. And that education thing, a lot of that had to do with COVID. And they know the Democrats, they fouled that whole thing up. And there were kids that, they lost their entire teen years, their high school years.
Absolutely.
Couldn't go to their prom. They couldn't get their education. And so, their credibility is gone on education.
Yeah, lost decades and generations of education in this country. And also, they wouldn't let people go to their grandparents' funerals either, which is a whole other issue. But, Nicole, what are your thoughts on this, just given what you know about schools and COVID and all the other things?
Well, we're brushing over what America First Legal completely just showed us. I mean, with these new documents, we already knew A.G. Garland overstretched his authoritative reach by threatening these parents, right? But what we didn't know was that he was advised by civil rights attorneys based on these documents saying they're just expressing their First Amendment rights. They're not really doing anything wrong. Yeah. And now we also know that there was a memo from the White House saying, help us out here. What can you do? So the fact, this is, again, this calculated use of this federal power to intimidate these parents who were rightfully upset. The government and their closures and everything were directly harming their children. The parents knew it. They were frustrated, and they used their governmental power to threaten them. Mental health ED visits up 30% during COVID. Anxiety, OCD, suicides, where the kids are behind in math. I mean, we can go on and on about what happened to the children. The parents knew what was happening. The Biden White House and everyone under him overused their power, and it's alarming what happened.
Yeah. Glad they're getting to the bottom of it. All right, coming up on this jam-packed big weekend show, there's a rising star in the Democratic Party, like Mamdani. He's also a socialist. We'll tell you all about him and why Americans should be very worried. And Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is doubling down on her demand to unmask ICE agents as new stats reveal assaults on ICE agents are up 830% as thousands of illegal aliens are heading to U.S. military bases. We're speaking with Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons up next.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.